Hello there. In this video I want to talk to you about video rigging kit. More specifically, Smallrig video rigging kit, a brand that I've been using for quite a few years now and I've on the whole been very impressed with. Now, since starting to shoot video properly back in 2011 with DSLRs, I almost immediately discovered that of course although the image quality on a lovely full frame sensor DSLR is beautiful, the form factor of a DSLR does not lend itself to video, and in order to shoot video easily, or at least more simply, some form of rig is required. Now this is where you can disappear down the rabbit hole, because a rig can be as simple as adding a top handle to the hot shoe on your camera to a full-on shoulder rig with handles and accessory ports here, there and everywhere that ends up weighing considerably more than the camera, and whilst it might enable you to do more, it also weighs you down a hell of a lot. Now what I've found is that video rigging fell broadly into two groups. At one end of the scale you have the established brands that made pretty expensive but very solid kit, like say Lampart, and essentially you are really just paying for some very high quality metal that's well engineered, good build quality, but it does seem like an awful lot of money for what it is. At the other end of the scale there are lots and lots of fly-by-night Johnny-come-latelys all over Amazon who will sell you an entire shoulder rig, video rig, you name it, all the accessories going for about £100. The catch is, when it arrives, the instructions are in Mandarin, the build quality is awful, and it's liable to fall apart. The tolerances are bad. As you tighten things, they'll snap. It's not worth the money, even though it's not much money. I've had experience at both ends of the scale. I do, as you can see, own some Lampart and similar gear. And I've also fallen foul of the buy cheap, buy twice mistake, bought something that really wasn't even worth the small amount of money I'd paid for it. Not a mistake I'd advise you make. And then there's Smallrig. I bought my first bit of Smallrig kit a few years back now, almost by accident. I certainly wasn't shopping for their brand specifically. And since then I've accumulated an awful lot of stuff because it's just what I need. Now the reason their gear works so well is that it fits perfectly between those two extremes I've just described. It's pretty sensibly priced, but the build quality is still very decent. It's not quite up there with the very high-end stuff, but it certainly puts up with the professional use that I put it through. The other nice thing about Smallrig is that the same brand covers a massive range of stuff, from cages and entire rigs through to lots of tiny little accessories, and what this does is it allows you no end of permutations. You can buy a few bits of kit and reorganise them almost like a Lego set, if you like, into different types of rigs for different situations. You can have quite big elaborate rigs with lots of stuff attached and quite small fast run and gun situations. Everything is cross compatible, obviously standard sets of screws and fittings and all the rest. Really versatile system, and that's one of the things I like about it. So what I want to talk about is some of the best bits of their kit that I use all the time, along with a couple of little drawbacks just to prove that it's not entirely one-sided. I should stress again, I'm not being paid to talk about this kit. I'm just simply promoting stuff that I've found to be very effective as a professional that you might not be aware of. Okay, the first bit of Smallrig kit that I've come to love is the Nikon Z6 Cage. I am in fact using it right this minute to film because I'm filming this on my Z6. Now what's great about this is obviously the build quality is pretty solid, but it fits the camera so well. It's just a perfect sort of evolution of the camera body and turns it into something that can be easily expanded and turned into any range of rigs, from a small scale run and gun thing through to a full-on shoulder mounted or gimbal mounted setup. There's no end of attachment points. It's covered in screw threads. It's got a NATO rail. There's a room to put ARRI things on it. There's a hot shoe. It's just extremely versatile and doesn't massively add to the bulk of the camera either. I actually leave my Z6 in the cage the entire time because I use my Z6 for filming more than I use it for stills. Another really handy accessory, very versatile indeed, is these handles and arms. They're simply an arm like that and then a rubber grip handle, ARRI locating screws at either end, I bought them as a pair along with the mount that makes them fit onto 15mm rods for use with a big sort of shoulder rig, but of course you can also use them individually. What I've done here, as you can see, is I've attached an Arri locating screw to the side of my Z6 Cage, and then if I'm doing a lightweight run and gun shoot where I don't need to add my zoom H6 or use longer lenses, I've got a very quick, lightweight and versatile camera platform that's quick and easy to shoot with, all from the addition of just one little arm to the side. Now, almost an essential piece of kit for any filming, Smallrig or not, is a top handle of some sort. I think Smallrig make about half a dozen different ones. This one just screws into the top of, in my case, camera cages. You can get ones that drop into the hot shoe and the rest. And besides, on a basic level, providing a nice, safe and stable way of picking up the camera and the rig, it also offers a good filming platform if you want to shoot from low down and handheld, or at a pinch will, get away without using a gimbal as long as you don't mind a little bit of a shake. Smallrig makes some nice quick release plates as well. They do quite a wide variety of them in all sorts of different fittings. I use an Arca system. There's no such thing as a perfect system, but I've got mine set up so that pretty much every mount I use, every tripod, monopod, etc, 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 uses Arca, so that I don't have to think about changing plates as I change from one thing to the other. I use these permanently attached to my video tripod. I also have this precise piece, in fact, set up so that I can clip my zoom H6, which has an Arca plate on the bottom of it, onto my shoulder rig for times when I'm using more than one mic input when I'm out and about. The other bit of Smallrig kit that's particularly good isn't actually part of the rig, it's this Multitool. I have this in my pocket nearly 100% of the time. It's a simple combination of hex keys, Allen keys, however you like to call them, a crosshead screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, and a little, I think, a torque wrench as well. And it covers probably 95% of the work I need to do with various rigs in terms of tightening and attaching things. And of course it's so neat and compact, as I say, it just lives in my pocket almost 100% of the time. Very, very handy little bit of kit, and not too pricey either. Okay, well, that all sounds fantastic. Aren't they amazing? Don't they make great stuff? But I did promise you there were some drawbacks. The one bit of kit that I've been very, very disappointed with is the Nikon D850 cage. As you can see, it's a fairly straightforward camera cage. Obviously, it allows you to expand what you can connect to the camera. The big problem is that despite there being a total of 3 potential extra ports in the bottom of the 850, which are used for attaching battery grips, there's only one tripod screw in this cage, and the cage doesn't fit the body very snugly, so there's an awful lot of movement. Now, of course, this isn't ideal, because if you've then mounted your camera inside something and then mounted lots of other things to that thing, and then the camera moves, well, you can't really reliably film with it. So yeah, not very impressed with that. Very low build quality there, didn't really think the design through. Bad Smallrig, don't do it again. Again, I should stress, I'm not being paid to talk about this stuff. I've just come to rely on it and use it for years now, and I think it's really, really good kit. If you're trying to build your video rig, and I suggest you do that incrementally, don't try and do everything in one go, and you don't have bottomless pockets, Smallrig are an extremely good place to start. They make very good kit that doesn't cost the earth, and because they make such a wide range of kit, with a bit of ingenuity you can create the perfect rig for you. I'll do my best to try and list all the kit I'm talking about in the descriptions below, so you can go off and find it yourself. Obviously, if you've got any questions, stick them in the comments, hit like, subscribe, share, you know how YouTube works, and I'll hopefully see you soon.